obtaining money, weapons, and other property through acts of racketeering activity, including robbery, theft, and the unlawful sale and distribution of drugs, and obstructing law enforcement investigations and court proceedings through witness intimidation and attacks upon law enforcement officers.
Drug deals happening in court? That's the latest allegation coming out of the trial of rapper Young Thug. SiriusXM's Mina, SayWhat, Llona is back with us. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. More drama in the Georgia trial of Grammy Award-winning rapper Young Thug, and it's not about people taking plea deals or anything like that, but rather alleged drug deals happening in open court. Now, just to back up for a second, as we reported here on Sidebar, the rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams, is facing 8 criminal counts, including conspiracy to violate the state's RICO or racketeering law. This is part of a wide sweeping indictment against him and what was originally 28 other defendants, although a number have taken plea deals like Gunna, Trontavious Tick Stevens, Antonio Sledge. But prosecutors basically claim that the defendants are all part of this criminal enterprise, right? That Williams is at the head of it, that he co-founded a street gang called YSL, or Young Slime Life, back in 2012, that has caused just absolute chaos. We have people who are charged with murder, aggravated assault, robbery, theft, illegal arms possession. But now, as I mentioned, there is a new issue that has come up, and that is the issue of contraband allegedly being given to the defendants. Let me bring back in award-winning radio host and multimedia personality Mina Llona, a.k.a. Mina SayWhat. Mina is currently on air nationwide on SiriusXM's The Heat with her show Mina's House. She is also heard on WRNB FM 100.3 Philly weekdays, and her weekly podcast, Mina's House Podcast, can be found on MinaSayWhat.com and all podcast platforms. And she is also a feature writer for the Philadelphia Tribune. Mina, it's great to have you back here. I didn't expect to have you back so soon, but I also didn't expect this update in court.
Right, me neither. We just spoke about the plea deals, and now we're talking about basically like a a drug transaction happening in the courtroom.
Yeah.
In the courtroom, who saw this happening?
Let's set the stage just a little bit so people
Right.
understand what's going on. So we're still in jury selection, okay? We think this is going to last weeks. This is also a trial that could almost
5
last,
weeks.
a year. That's how long we're talking. So the allegation is that Young Thug's co-defendant, Khalifa Adams, who's actually currently serving a term of life imprisonment on a murder conviction, he allegedly goes up to Young Thug in that Fulton County courthouse and hands him what is later identified as Percocet. Young Thug even alleged that he put his hands underneath the table so he couldn't see the trade happening. A sheriff's deputy sees what's going on, comes over, gets the drugs, and apparently when they search Adams, he has Percocet, marijuana, tobacco, and other drugs on him, and they have to take him to the hospital because they think that he ingested the drugs so the court wouldn't see any of this. Mina, what is going on?
It's absolute chaos, and this is the foresight of what this trial is going to be. We saw it during the jury selection that they haven't even gotten through yet. Certain things happening with certain jurors and communications with the defendant's legal team, and now we're seeing not just one alleged drug trade, but 3 instances of illegal contraband making it into the courtroom, not just with Young Thug, but also with his other co-defendant, which we will get to later. But I just don't understand the choices that are being made. Now, Young Thug is maintaining that he doesn't know Mr. Adams at all. He didn't know what was going on, but common sense will tell you, if a strange man that you claim you do not know comes and hands you something, do you close your hand, put it under the table, and you don't know what it is? It makes no logical sense. And not only that, Mr. Adams is currently in jail. So how did he obtain this marijuana? How did he obtain these tobacco products? How did he get Percocets? And here's the kicker. They wrap the weed in saran wrap and then put spices next to the weed so you can't smell it. This is a carried out, planned out, attempted drug deal.
Well,
Because this man's in jail. Where is he going to get this stuff?
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's what I want to get to. First, I'll tell you what the response has been from Williams' camp.
The reality is, Mr. Williams had nothing to do with what went on in the courtroom on yesterday. One of the co-defendants, on his way to the restroom, attempted to pass something to Mr. Williams, who immediately turned it over to the deputy.
He did not know it was allegedly Percocet?
Did not know. Well, we don't know what it is. Did not know what it was, turned it over to the deputy right away. The deputies took action. The individual who had the contraband, not Mr. Williams, was taken into the back, where I'm told he ingested whatever he had. He had to be taken to the hospital, and as a result, court was terminated for the rest of the day.
So Keith Adams, who is one of Young Thug's attorneys, he says that his side is the truth. The reality is Mr. Williams had nothing to do with what went on in the courtroom on yesterday. One of the co-defendants on his way to the restroom attempted to pass something to Mr. Williams, who immediately turned it over to the deputy. He did not know. We don't know what it is. Did not know. It was turned over to a deputy right away. Before we get into the other incidents, I find that very curious because is that exactly what happened? That he immediately volunteered to give that? Or did the sheriff's deputy
No.
see it?
He closed his hand. The deputy came over. Young Thug immediately went here. I'm assuming, we don't have audio. We have video of what happened. We don't have audio, but I'm assuming the conversation is what's in your hand or what did that man just give you? Something that made Young Thug say, "Look, here." But it wasn't like he received this alleged, pill that he didn't know what it was. If you don't know this man, why are you accepting something from him, right? In court. But what did you immediately go, "Hello, I don't know what this is," and make a big fuss out of it? At the end of the day, he's not being found of any wrongdoing, because he was cooperative, but it certainly speaks to the theme here, the poor choices that are being made, things happening, and then it's like, "Oh, I don't know this person. I wasn't involved in that. I didn't set this up. This man's in jail. Someone gave him these illegal substances. He tried to hand it off to Young Thug and then swallowed the remainder of it so he wouldn't really get the full force of the punishment, which you're already serving a sentence for murder. Why would you add these 5 additional misdemeanors that he now has onto your sentencing for someone you don't even know?"
Yes, there's going to be an investigation into this, and I'm sure it'll be pushed out. It would have been different, just so everybody knows, if, let's say, this happened, there was a quick conviction on it, right? They could use it against him in a way, to show that that he does know that Adams and Williams do know each other, like you mentioned, and it would maybe help to further the case. I want to go back to something that you mentioned, because this is not an isolated incident, right? There were 3 incidents that happened in just 1 week. One includes rapper Yak Gotti, or DeMonte Kendrick. So his mother was arrested and charged with a misdemeanor for allegedly bringing tobacco wrapping paper and products for her son in a bag of clothes. And apparently, the mother of Kendrick's child texted Kendrick's lawyer saying that there was a sealed envelope in the bag. So she might have been the one who actually supplied the drugs, or the alleged drugs. And now there's a warrant for her arrest. And then there's a third incident where someone else allegedly tried to smuggle in marijuana in their shoes. Judge is not very happy about all this. The reason you said to me, why would they do this? And I'm curious. So obviously this is all alleged, right? Hasn't been confirmed that they did this. I wanted to ask you, if this is all true, is this a way to further the image and say, listen, we're not taking this court proceeding seriously. We are not looking like we're cooperating with the process in any way. And this is a way to bolster their image in the public's eye. What do you think about that?
That's exactly what I thought about this. Like, what does this say? What do these individual examples say? It says, either there's a complete disregard for the law and the seriousness of what's happening here, or B, there's some people that need some serious rehab. Because if you are in jail and you cannot live without your weed or your Percocet, and you're setting up deals that are putting other people in danger. Someone's mother smuggled an illegal substance into a courtroom. Someone's mother that has now been now she has charges on her. I don't know what it means because I don't know why this is happening, but I know that it does not look favorable upon the defendants that these things are happening. You should be trying to present yourself as businessmen, as bosses, as label heads, as music
Mm.
executives, as fathers, as sons, as brothers, as law-abiding citizens,
Well,
not
to the
people that
court,
can't even sit.
the court.
Right.
But what about on the outside? Is that the image that they want to present in this, or is because again, we talked last time you and I spoke. Gunna was taking a lot of heat for taking a plea deal, and there's something to be said for the fact that the current defendants haven't done that.
So what I see on the outside is people are like, "What are you doing here?
Mm,
What is going on? You must want to go to jail." I mean, you want to talk about Yak Gotti? He is one of the people that has the more serious murder charge. So you have the more serious murder charge, and now you're trying to smuggle allegedly contraband using the mother of your child and your mother. It's just irresponsible. And what I saw the response on the outside is, you guys must want to go to jail because why do this?
mm.
This is not these are not happenstance situations. This was coordinated. You have to coordinate smuggling something into a court of law. I feel so bad for the judge because now this further prolongs things.
Yeah.
Now Mr. Adams is in the hospital. They have to figure out exactly what he ingested. And now additional charges have to be added. This further holds up the jury selection. This case is a mess.
It really is. And by the way, an attorney who represents Mr. Adams said on behalf of Mr. Adams, these allegations are simply that mere statements made by the state in an effort to thwart the lengthiness of the jury selection process. Mr. Adams adamantly maintains his innocence and looks forward to the conclusion of the trial. Before we let you go, Mina, we didn't get a chance last time to really explore what your take is on the charges and what you think of the strength of this case that's going to be presented against these multiple defendants.
It all comes down to the evidence. As I mentioned, it's not enough for me to just see social media posts and use that as evidence or even lyrics. If they can legitimately tie in the lyrics to actual crimes that were committed and put up the evidence via wiretaps. I heard there's a wiretap involved and they're trying to get it thrown out of court, but it all comes down to the evidence. In my opinion, I think that Young Thug has a long road ahead of him. He had a very he had a it seemed like a very plausible excuse or defense. And now slowly that defense is being eroded away. And now I don't know what his defense is going to be with the plea deals, with alleged drug trades happening in the courtroom. This doesn't look favorable upon him at all. And so much of court is perception, right? You have a jury of your peers that's going to be evaluating this case. The jury already knows there's something weird that happened with a Percocet. How is that going to cloud their judgment?
Well, I mean, the jury's
How
still
do you
being
not know about this?
finalized. Hopefully, you can shield them, right? Hopefully,
Right,
you can
but how do
shield
you
them from
shield
seeing this.
them? This is
That's
everywhere, and
yeah,
that's really the hard part about the cases that we're seeing recently. They're everywhere. Tory and Megan the Stallion. It was such a
yeah.
problem there because a lot of the evidence was being leaked, a lot of the discovery. How do you shield the jurors from the mayhem that is happening in this case?
That is why the jury selection process is going to take some time. And even when they get a jury, having that jury stay on board for
Right.
6 to 9 months, maybe a year is a whole separate issue. Now, Mina, I love having you on. I love talking to you. I would say, I'm probably not going to see you for a while, but given what's happening here, I might have you on next week based on what we're seeing in court. So, Mina, thank you for your perspective. I
Please
really
don't
would love to have you back on to talk
Yes.
about this.
We're talking about 20 people here and
Yeah.
and we expect them to be on their best behavior for almost a year. I don't know if that's gonna happen based off the things we've seen already.
So, Mina Llona, our contributor, our daily contributor as this happens. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for
Can't
taking
make
the
this
time.
stuff up. It needs to be on TV at this point.
And now it is. So there we go. Mina, thank you. And that's all we have for you here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.